What's up, world? Yes, indeed. See if I can make in a small studio or a cramped space. This is drummer life right now, right? This is what we have to do. All right, enough blabbing. Welcome, 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 world. My name is Ecussionist, and you are here now for lesson number 4 of our second trimester in 2025. And this is free lessons for all ages and all levels, brought to you by none other than the very, very generous and formidable NGO Radio Terra, streaming live from their YouTube channel. We bring you nothing but the finest musical instruction and education and mentorship through the digital interface every single week. I'm here at Wednesdays at 4 p.m. So shout out to NGO Radio Terra. Also, want to give a big shout out to Tamboro Drums, Icon Microphones, and Proel Corporation, as well as the Roland Corporation, and all the people that contribute to making this show happen. So today we're going to be talking about physical and mental health for drummers and musicians. It's really important. It's the most important, because otherwise, how do we keep a gig, right? How do we make sure that we are fit mentally and physically to go on the road and be managing money, egos, other people, musicians, ourselves, our emotions, and our musical integrity? Well, we're going to get into that today. But being that this is also a drumming lesson and podcast forum, I'm going to play a little bit of drums. You know what? Before I continue, actually, I just realized that if I don't plug in my computer, the battery might die. So let me go ahead and plug the computer in, and I'll be right back. Thanks for hanging out during this technical intermission. Okay, we're back. Thank you for your patience. Yeah, I was thinking to myself while I was playing, I was like, wait a second, there's something that I have to do and it's important. I don't want to lose the feed because my computer dies, so thank you. Anyways, back to it. Thank you for listening. Yes, indeed. So, right now, I've been learning some really incredible grooves for this Ethiopian jazz show that I have tomorrow night. So, I'm just giving you guys a little taste and also working out some of the kinks on this 12/8 groove that involves a lot of those fast 16th notes. And I'm excited about it. I love that groove, so I wanted to share it with you. Some thoughts that came to my mind. I'm not sure. Yeah, get this right. Some thoughts that came to my mind while I was playing were the notion of perfection becoming my enemy. And that's just simply, to put that simply, I don't think about being perfect. And in fact, when I hear something that I just played that I don't like, I try to embrace it. That way, I'm not actually carrying any ill will or any ill thought into the next moment, into the next second, right? Because after every mistake comes the next moment that we have to be prepared and present for. So what are we going to be doing in that next moment? Are we going to be thinking about what we just made the mistake of, or the perceived mistake that we just made? Because sometimes what we just did, we aren't aware of the positive impact of it. Yes, of course, maybe it came out in a way that was unintentional or came out in a way that was sloppy. But when you listen back, you might actually decide that that actually wasn't a bad choice. But what would have happened is you would have made something that was actually a good choice, and then you would have second guessed yourself, and you would have felt judgmental about yourself. And that would have created a negative vibe going into that next phrase or that next second of music. And we can't do that. That's not what we do, right? As musicians, we have to stay open and stay listening. Never, ever close your ears down. And so I'm going to loop this back all around to say that while I'm drumming, I'm trying to be as kind to myself as possible while handling business. I'm singing the melodies to these grooves. I'm seeing the grid, the rhythmic grid of subdivisions before my very eyes. I am knowing the tempo. I am visualizing, right? Like I'm taking in as much data and using my brain to focus as much on the song as possible, on as many aspects of the song as possible, so that I can maintain the fullest picture, which helps you be in the pocket. That helps you maintain the groove. So the mental headspace of drumming is in fact about how clear you are and how confident you are and how many roadmaps you brought with you, how many mental roadmaps or visual roadmaps, how many different ways that you can play one thing, so that when the moment changes, the inevitable moment of life happens on the gig where all of a sudden you have to improvise, or you have to do something different than you've ever done before, or you have to do something you're unprepared for, you're not thrown off. In fact, you prepared yourself for this moment. Because, excuse me, you can't really be prepared for the moment if you are second guessing your choices. So speaking about the word preparation, let's talk about one of my favorite maxims, okay? One of my favorite modes to live by, which is that preparation minus self-interference equals performance. And the performance is what we're always going for, right? So when you actually show up to the performance fully prepared and without any self-interference, your performance can actually be the best it possibly could be. How many times have we been late to the gig, and have we been under stress and thinking about other things and missed our exit on the way, or missed the entrance in the music on the gig? Being present and being ready so that whatever does come your way doesn't count as self-sabotage. It doesn't show up in your playing or show up in your professionalism as self-sabotage. It shows up as a little wrench in the gears, a little rain on your parade that you know how to deal with. But you know how to deal with it because you follow this maxim, which is that preparation minus self-interference equals your performance. And that's a formula that you can use and follow in every aspect of your life. I love that groove right there. That one right there is called Joy Is Mine by Jonathan Cooper. And I'm going to be playing tomorrow night in Greensboro with his jazz ensemble. We're going to be bringing you nothing but the finest in the Ethiopian jazz styles. The group is called Twista, and we're over at the Continental tomorrow night at 8:30. Check us out. Jonathan Cooper is who wrote that groove. And I just love it because it's kind of a combination of dance hall, Jay Dilla, and second line, right? So the dance hall pattern being right. That's the dance hall vibes. The second line part is the right. So there's some of that swing going on in there with the way that I'm playing the hi-hat. And then, of course, there's that Jay Dilla thing that, right, that. So, and how to get that thing is, right, like a second line thing. But by placing the together closer, right, to, you get that Jay Dilla thing where you don't quite know if it's behind the beat or ahead of the beat. So instead of and then that last part of the phrase is on. It's on beat 3. It's on the downbeat. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3. So now that we talked about that, I also want to just talk about the physical aspect about drumming is that when you stretch and when you drink water and when you get enough sleep, you have a less heavy chance of hurting yourself. And the thing is about drumming and lifting equipment is that you're going to be moving gear around for the rest of your life. And that's what I've discovered. I remember when I was a young lad in my high school big band, and my teacher at the time, Doc Horst, he was an endorsed professional drummer with Pearl Drums, and he had all these gigs. Around 40 years of age, he quit playing drums, and the reason is because he said, I got tired of lifting drums. My body couldn't take it, and I just got sick of it. And it's the kind of thing that happens to most drummers that don't get roadies or don't get that next level up in their career because they end up having to do it all themselves. But they do it all themselves past the point of their prime. So they start lifting these drums into their 40s and 50s and 60s, and Lord knows that isn't fun. We become manual laborers. We become movers. We become equipment movers. We become roadies and techies as much as we become drummers and artists and creatives, because we simply must. So how do we sustain this? If you truly love to play the drums and you want to tour for the rest of your life and you don't necessarily have a roadie, we need to start taking better care of ourselves. And this means that we start to employ much better form. So I just want to demonstrate a couple things. So when we play drums, we have the tendency to reach for things that are not in our direct vicinity. So if I'm sitting here like this and I want to pick up this tambourine here, some people would stay seated while leaning down towards the floor to grab the tambourine. Okay? Simply stand up, turn around, face the piece of gear that you're going for, and always bend with your knees, not your back. So go down like that, pick up the tambourine, and you're good to go. Sit back down. It takes a little bit more time. It's not nearly as convenient, but your body will thank you for it. The stupidest but massivest back injuries come from things like that. Oh, I'm used to picking up my snare drum that's on the side right here all the time. And just this one day, I leaned over to pick it up and I felt something in my back. Well, that's how you could herniate a disc. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I must say that using good form in simple moments like that can really save your posture. Speaking of posture, everybody's body is different, but try and get yourself a really good drum seat. I can't stress this enough. Your drum throne is everything. I just got a really cool rock and sock throne that has sort of like a divot in the middle. So it's just really comfortable for me. It's circular. Some people like the one that has like the little impression for both of your thighs. Either way, the one I'm sitting on right now is creaky and loosens up all the time, and it's kind of wobbly. It's not the best for your back. So being that our job is coming from a seated position that puts all the pressure on our butt and our core, we have to be able to know how to stretch out our bodies once we get up from the drum set. So I like to do this particular exercise. I do this. Again, rolling my wrists up and down like that. Splaying out my fingers to stretch out my tendons. I wave it around a little bit like this to kind of just loosen up my joints too much. I don't want to like rock my wrist, but I'm just doing this nice and light. And again, this right here is you hold the back of the sticks with your palm up, gripping all around, and then you use your other hand to bring your forearm around, right? And you see this stretch. You see how I'm stretching right here. All right, and then you even it out by just doing the opposite direction. So keeping the stick in my hand, and I'm just going in the opposite direction to even it out. Same thing on the other side. Nice stretch for the forearms. Even it out like that. Okay? Yoga and meditation are highly recommended. The stresses of the gig and the stresses of life as they are without the gig are enough to make me want to meditate every day. I just did a 3-day meditation experiment where I meditated for 15 minutes every day. And on the third day that I woke up, I did not meditate and observed my behavior, observed my mood, observed my performance, right? We talked about that preparation minus self-interference equals performance. Well, this morning when I woke up and realized that I didn't do my meditation, I realized that my performance lacked because my self-sabotage came in the form of not being well centered or relaxed, which meditation helps me become centered and relaxed. So that's part of that self-sabotage thing. And then also, what is the preparation? Well, the preparation is also not just knowing the music, but knowing your body and knowing how to be in it. And meditation and yoga will help you be in your body. And the drums are such a physical instrument that if we aren't warm muscularly, we probably will get tired sooner. We could hurt ourselves while playing, right? If we're reaching too far, or if we're starting out without warming ourselves up, we can do something weird. Not everybody, but some people. Also, like I said, low stress, high flexibility. I mean, meaning that you've stretched, lots of water, and enough sleep will ensure that you're in your body, in the sane mind, and in the sane spirit to do the gigs and to perform at the highest level possible. So I hope this made sense for you. I have done some talks on this in the past in different forums and in different ways. Sometimes I've been a lot more talkative and a lot more verbal, but today I felt like I touched on the most sentient points. Let's review. The maxim that I follow that keeps me in check and allows me to recognize whether or not I'm really living in my purpose is preparation minus self-interference equals performance. Check that out, write that down, and try and observe how you're preparing, how you're self-sabotaging, and monitor the quality of your performances, and try and switch up your routines so that when you do watch your next performance, you realize that you're better, you've grown. I think growth is the only thing that we can really offer our employers and ourselves to continue to maintain our gigs and keep our gigs and keep getting called back. And that's what it's always about. We're always trying to get called back. So definitely check that out. Hope that you guys enjoyed what I spoke about today, because this is often not talked about and often overlooked by most people, because everybody just wants to talk chops and grooves and pocket and drummer things. But these are the more subtle aspects and nuanced aspects of our inner drummer life. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. This is lesson number 4 for NGO Radio Terra's free lessons for all levels and all ages. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much.